Hey guys, Delta here, and it's been a while since I just sat down in front of my microphone and done, a good old-fashioned commentary, so I am due. So here we are, and as we are getting to the end of 2013 here, I've been kind of looking back on the 7th generation of consoles, so the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, the Wii, and just kind of doing a bit of a post-mortem on it in my head, I guess, because that's the stuff I do. And, every console generation, I think, has that one year that is the absolute peak of the console generation. And I think that 2009 was that year for the PS3 and 360, and not just the peak of that generation, but I think it might have been the best year in gaming. And there are a few reasons for that, some of which are more personal to me, and then some are, of course, industry-wide. And I'll start with those, because there was just not just the quality of the games that came out that year, but also the quantity of quality games that came out in 2009 is really insane, to me, at least. I look back on recent years, and I think about Game of the Year candidates, and there's maybe 4 or 5, like this year in particular, there's only maybe 4 or 5 that for me I would say are worthy of Game of the Year, or worthy of being nominated for Game of the Year. You go back to 2009, there is maybe 10, maybe more games that I can think of that released that year that could be up for Game of the Year awards, which is mind-boggling to me. It was really insane to think. I mean, earlier in the early parts of the year, you got Killzone 2, which is one of my favorite games. Resident Evil 5, I know fans of the series didn't really like it, but I had a lot of fun with that game. Another favorite of mine to come out that year was the original Infamous, which I think is one of the best open world games of that generation. And then you get into the fall, the holiday season, when like everything comes out. You had Uncharted 2, you had Assassin's Creed 2, you had Modern Warfare 2, you had Borderlands, you had Demon's Souls came out in, I think, August of that year. There was so many just top-notch AAA titles to release, and it really was. And even when you go take a step down from kind of the Game of the Year candidates, there were still a lot of fantastic games to come out that year. So while years following, 2010, 2011, 2012, and 2013 have all had their fair share of fantastic games, and I would argue that for a lot of those kind of top level games, they've gotten even better than what came out in 2009. But just, it's insane to think about the sheer quantity, the number of fantastic games that came out that year. Like I've said, Killzone 2 and Infamous are a couple of my favorite PlayStation 3 games ever. Assassin's Creed 2 I rented after not enjoying the first that much. I played for like 3 hours. I'm like, okay, this is really awesome. I need to order a copy off Amazon. And then I had to physically stop myself from playing. Otherwise, I was going to finish that game before my actual copy arrived in the mail. It's like, no, there needs to be something left for me to play when my actual copy gets here. Of course, Modern Warfare 2 was it was a fantastic game until people started abusing perks. Borderlands, I'm not a huge fan of Borderlands, but I had a lot of fun with that game at the start. Demon's Souls was just, there's very few games like Demon's Souls anymore, and people loved that. So it really is. There's an insane number of games, and I can't list them all off the top of my head. I'm sure I am forgetting quite a few, but it was a huge year for games, I think. And then on a more personal level, 2009 was two things for me. It was the year that I think I really got into video games. It was, I guess 2009, I would have been in the second half of grade 9 and first half of grade 10. So at this point, I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to do after school, and at the time, I had really settled on game design. I thought that was what I was going to do. Unfortunately, or I guess I shouldn't say unfortunately, but it didn't turn out that way for various reasons. And you know, so at that point, I really started to pay attention to things. You know, reading up on news, keeping up to date on everything that was going on in the world of video games. But not just that, 2009 was the year I started making YouTube videos, which is obviously a big thing, because here we are nearly 5 years later, and I'm still here making videos. And honestly, I'm still enjoying it. I'm still having fun doing it, and it really is crazy to think about where I've ended up because of this. Because if I didn't do YouTube, I think I would have been very, very different. I mean, for me, YouTube, doing commentaries, doing stuff like this has really improved my speaking skills. I couldn't do public speaking. Go back 10 years ago to when I was 9 years old, grade 4. I couldn't get up in front of a class of 30 kids and do my speech without breaking down and crying because my stage fright was so bad. I couldn't. Even fast forward to my first year of doing YouTube, grade 10, doing a speech that fall. I was monotone. I started sweating almost instantly. It was terrible. Now, public speaking, even a year after that into grade 11, public speaking was not an issue for me. It really is crazy. And not just that for me on a personal level with YouTube, but I think that's especially the latter half of 2009 going into 2010 with Modern Warfare 2 was when the YouTube gaming community really started to take off. And people start to realize the kind of influence and impact they had. It was the start of kind of the communication between developers, such as 402 Robert Bowling who was at Infinity Ward at the time, between the developers and the gamers, sort of creating this bridge between the gamers and the developers, with the YouTubers acting as kind of the collective voices for what people were thinking. And then you saw, you know, I didn't have much of an issue with, for example, the one-man army grenade launcher exploit in Modern Warfare 2 until YouTubers started making videos complaining about it, talking about how this is a really cheap loadout and how it breaks the game basically, and how it needs to be fixed. And at that point, well, of course, many people were like, "Oh yeah, that's broken. That's really cheap. It needs to be fixed." There were also a lot of people that kind of like, hey, look, I can screw with everyone with this loadout now. So at that point, I think it became really evident what the potential of the YouTube gaming community was, and the kind of influence it could have over how people play video games and how developers make video games, which is absolutely massive. But this video is about to wrap up here shortly, I believe. So that's why I think for me personally and overall for the industry, I think 2009 was absolutely the peak of the 7th generation of consoles, and I think one of, if not the best year ever in video games. So thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. Share it around. It really does help, and I truly, truly appreciate it. Remember, Killzone Shadowfall weapon guides go up Friday mornings, so those are still going, not going anywhere anytime soon. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.